Oh my gosh, that loads fast. That's honestly the fastest loading I have ever seen on a Switch game. I don't hear anything. Okay, I think I fixed the audio. Alright, so here we are, back again. I said last week that we'd finally start Super Mario Sunshine. So here we are. Just break everything. I think we're fine.
Look at that.
So yeah, I said we'd start Super Mario Sunshine. Here we are with Super Mario Sunshine. I will be 1000% honest. I have not played this game since 2010? It has been a long time. It has been a long time since I touched Super Mario Sunshine. Not that it's a bad game by any means. It's still a Nintendo game. But the thing about Sunshine is that it's widely considered like the black sheep of the Nintendo franchise. You know, the Mario franchise, I should say. Not that it's like the worst Mario or anything. Because I don't think it is. At least I don't remember it being. I remember it being annoying. Like, you know, everyone always thinks of the hard levels with Sunshine. The pachinko machine. The river rafting on the boat. Or with the leaf on the poison river. The Chuckster one. Super Mario Sunshine has a lot of bullshit in it. Because, okay, as per my understanding, while working on Super Mario 64, Miyamoto and the crew realized that precision platforming is really hard in a 3D environment. Sure, there are some levels in Super Mario 64 that do precision platforming, but they're usually later levels, you know, they're the more difficult levels. That's the difference between Mario 64 and Crash Bandicoot. Is Crash Bandicoot has a lot more precision platforming, and that's why it's generally considered a harder game.
What's this icky paint-like goop? It's moving.
Now, boys, don't touch
Whereas, yeah, right, Super Mario 64 doesn't. Not that it doesn't have hard platforming, it's just got less of it. And then here in Sunshine, Nintendo was like, okay, well, what if we put some of that difficult platforming in? But this time we're going to give the player a water jetpack. So they've got a water jetpack that, in theory, you know, they jump, they miss the jump, but they can use their water jetpack to correct and fix the problem. So, like, they overshoot it, they undershoot it. Don't worry, you've got a water jetpack that'll solve the problem. In theory, I think that's a good idea. I remember Flood not being terrible in this game. The problem is, if I remember correctly, the levels that require precision platforming are the ones where they take Flood away. Like, there's, like, Super Mario Galaxy-style levels. I guess there's, like, there are, like, certain levels that are more like something like Galaxy or 3D World or 3D Land, instead of being, like, open world. And those levels are just more difficult because they take away your jetpack and remove your precision platforming. And those are precision platforming levels. So that's, if I remember correctly, my problem with Super Mario Sunshine. Is that it's a good game, but with a lot of bullshit. The theming is good, all the tropical island stuff. I remember liking the amusement park, just not the amusement park levels. Like the balloon one. There's a balloon level in the amusement park that I remember fucking hating. There's blue coins. For some reason, there are blue coins in this game, and after it's 10 blue coins for a shine. But after you get each blue coin, it like saves the location, so you could be running around missing blue coins. And it's just like, oh, well, which ones am I missing? There's not like in later, like in Odyssey, you have purple coins, but it tells you, hey, this is how many purple coins you've collected in the level. I don't think it works like that here. So my goal is I don't want to collect any blue coins. We'll end up getting a few anyways, just by the nature of the game. But I want to avoid as many blue coins as possible, because I want to say right now, we are not 100%ing this game. I have no intention of 100%ing Sunshine. My goal is just to do, I think it takes 50 stars to beat the game. Let me Google it real quick, actually. Yeah, according to the stupid Google AI overview, it takes 50 stars, or 50 shines, excuse me, to beat Super Mario Sunshine. So my goal is just to get 50 shines, and we'll beat the game, and then we'll call it a day. I'm not going for 100% completion. I will not do the boat level. I'll do the Pachinko level. I will do the Pachinko level. I'm sure we'll come across it at some point. I don't remember where it is, but I'm sure we'll find it. We'll do that for sure. But I don't want to do the boat one. I fucking hated the boat one. And I'm no Venny Vine Sauce who will get it somehow on their second try. That's not my luck. The boat level, the Poison River leaf rafting one sucks. That is the worst level in this game. I remember hating it so much. And I'm not doing that again. I refuse to do that again. So my goal is just 50 shines. We'll get them. We'll call it a day. I remember the final level sucking as well, but I think that's a red coin challenge at the end, which we don't have to do. I think it's completely optional to do the red coin challenge, so we're also going to skip that one. I think that's Corona Mountain. I don't know, it's been a long time since I played this game. Other levels I hate the Manta Ray Storm. Sure, was it cool to see the Manta Ray Storm in Splatoon 3? Yes, I love the callback. I remember hating the Manta Ray Storm in this game. So I'm not looking forward to that one. The balloon popping one. What other levels fucking suck? I don't know. It's been a long time. Yeah, it's probably been 15. Because I never owned this game. I should say, I never owned Super Mario Sunshine. Technically, owning the 3D All-Stars version is my first time owning it. No, the first time I ever played Super Mario Sunshine, I borrowed it from a friend, and I played it on the Wii. I played it on... I think this was... No, this was probably before the Wii U. I can't remember. It might have been before the Wii U. It might have been after. I want to say it was before. But I borrowed a copy from a friend. I borrowed a lot of games. I borrowed Luigi's Mansion. I borrowed Sunshine. I borrowed Wind Waker, Pikmin. Right? I didn't own a GameCube. I didn't get a Wii until like 2008. Because, you know, Wiis were hard to find, and we weren't exactly rich growing up. You know, I may have the money to buy a Switch 2 nowadays. That wasn't always the case. I know the voice acting in this game's controversial as well. Flood, Peach, Bowser when we get to him later. I don't know. I don't really mind it. I honestly would not be surprised if the whole reason Nintendo wanted to use actors instead of, like, you know, the normal Mario voice actors in the Mario Bros. Movie is because of this game. Because at the time this came out, the voice acting was very controversial. So, if that's the reason they did it, I would in no way be surprised. That very much sounds like a Nintendo move. Okay, so we've been rambling a lot today. Or, you know, I'm just kind of waiting for us to, like, get into a level and then we'll start things. So I'm using just a Switch Pro controller. Nothing special. I know there's like a dive thing. I will figure it out. So today we've actually got a fairly short show. I've got 2 pieces of gaming news. Both of them actually pretty small. Like I've got some things to say, but actually it's not that big of a deal. So we got 2 smaller pieces. And then for WIBE, I've got Splatoon. You know, I obviously got to give an update about my mother playing Splatoon, because last time we talked, she had gotten to the 30th floor and failed. She's done a few more runs since then. So I want to talk about that, and I've been playing as well. Obviously we'll talk about Sunshine. And then movies, I know Lilo and Stitch came out. I didn't see it. I loved Lilo and Stitch as a kid. I genuinely loved that movie. Well, no, I loved the movie. I loved the TV show. The second Lilo and Stitch Has a Glitch, made me cry as a kid. Because the death scene in that movie, even though it's a fake, like, he doesn't actually die. It's, oh my gosh, it's brutal for a direct-to-DVD sequel Disney movie. And then, of course, I loved the animated show. I loved that they gave it a finale, Leroy and Stitch. God, I love that. So I will see the new Lilo and Stitch, but man, nothing I've heard of it has sounded good. Every little change they've made, I'm not interested. Like, fuck, man. Everything they're taking that I liked about the original. Not everything I liked, but, you know, a lot of it. That, like, oh yeah, this should be just, you know, not a slam dunk, but you just gotta make with what works. No, they're not doing any of that shit. It's crazy how this movie is taking the original Lilo and Stitch and changing it for the worse. Every change they are making seems to be for the worse. They seem to be making a worse movie. Meanwhile, I look at How to Train Your Dragon, and I'd say that has the opposite problem of, sure, it looks fine, but I don't think they're making enough changes. I think overall, How to Train Your Dragon looks just kind of boring, because it's the same fucking movie again. They made 0 changes, and I think that's less interesting. Will I still be seeing it? Oh yeah, definitely. Because that's another movie series I love, even though that came out later in time. Even though I do... For some reason, I remember... Did I see How to Train Your Dragon and Bridge to Terabithia around the same time? Because I saw Bridge to Terabithia... Because I saw Bridge to Terabithia because a new theater had just opened up in town that week. And me, my cousins, we all went to go see a movie. And we ended up seeing Bridge to Terabithia. And like, fuck, man. That movie, if you know, or if you read the book, that movie. But I want to say How to Train Your Dragon came out either around that same time, or maybe there was a trailer beforehand. I don't know, for some reason in my memory, those two movies connect. Which is weird, but I think that sounds right. Because I've never read Bridge to Terabithia, the book. I've only ever seen the movie. Oh, look, it's the Stew! Hey, Stu, sing us the song about the Pentagon. I love it. God, do I... Sometimes I wish I was a better editor. Because I could totally just take the Ass Stuff movie and just do the falling down the stairs, but with that. Oh, fuck, I didn't put Game Changer on here. I'll do that before Mission Impossible. Let me throw on Game Changer. I think it was something to do with crowd work. I don't remember the episode's name. Yeah, we'll definitely talk about that. So we got that. But okay, so I didn't see Lilo and Stitch, but I did see Mission Impossible. So we're gonna hopefully spend a lot of time talking about that. My goal is to go for like 2 hours tonight. Unless something in Sunshine like really pisses me off, And I'm like, fuck this. My goal is to go for 2 hours. And then finally, we'll end off talking about Dungeon Crawler Carl. Specifically the second book, Carl's Doomsday scenario. Because guess what? I'm in the third book. Literally, I haven't played any video games or done anything else because all my free time has been spent reading that book. Okay, I've played a little videos game. I've played a little, but I have literally spent all my free time listening to Dungeon Crawler Carl. You know, for me being kind of like lukewarm on the, like, I enjoyed the first one, but like I wasn't as blown away as other people were by the first one. Last week to now I'm in the third book. To be fair, the second one was shorter than the first one, and the third one's a lot longer. But yeah, to be this far in already, yeah, it's hooked something in me. So that's what we're going to talk about. And we're just going to play a lot of Sunshine. Alright, so for the news, we got 2 stories. The first one is about game price increases, and specifically about Randy Pitchford, because, you know, infamous shoe in mouth Randy Pitchford put his shoe in his mouth and said something fucking stupid, and so I do want to talk about it. And then our second story is the Nintendo Switch 2. The Nintendo Switch 2 is 13 days away, and I'm already kind of feeling it. Like, I've been getting a lot of ads on YouTube for the Nintendo Switch 2. Like, they're really... I've seen that Paul Rudd ad a bunch. I've seen, like, another ad where I think they're playing, like, Mario Party or something. And, yeah, no, I've been seeing a lot of stuff for the Switch 2. It's clearly just around the corner. And I'm ready. I am so ready. But we still gotta make it another, like, 14 days. Which does kinda suck. So those are our 2 stories. Okay, so our first one... So this comes from IGN. I specifically want to read the IGN article, so that way I get the quote correct here. So the title is, As Gamers Express Concerns About Borderlands 4 Potentially Costing $80, Gearbox chief Randy Pitchford says, if you're a real fan, you'll find a way to make it happen. Boo, Randy Pitchford. Boo. My God. What a terrible thing. Like, we'll get to the statement here in a second, obviously, like the full thing. But just what an awful way to start this. Oh yeah, you know, real fans will find a way. Like, fuck right off, Randy. Oh my God. Like, people are more concerned with the price of games than ever before. And so your statement, your idea is, oh, real fans will find a way. Fuck off, Randy. Like, I already know you're a dickhead, but, like, really? And we'll get... Okay, let me just start reading. Outspoken Gearbox chief Randy Pitchford has responded to a fan who expressed concerns about the prospects of paying $80 for Borderlands 4, saying, if you're a real fan, you'll find a way to make it happen. Video game industry has made jumps to $80 with the Mario Kart World, and Microsoft announced that a price hike will kick off this holiday season. Publisher 2K Games and parent company Takes-Two has so far remained vague on whether they will go to $80, and Randy Pitchford has insisted the decision is out of his control. But responding to one concerned fan on social media, Pitchford set the cat among the pigeons by saying that if you're a real fan, you'll find a way to make it happen. So I completely understand that this is out of his control. That it's the heads, the executives at Take-Two, that will get to make this final decision. And if he had just said that, like if Randy Pitchford had just come out here and said that, oh, you know, this is out of my control, but I completely understand why fans are worried about the price. You know, I'll do what I can. That's it. That's all he's got to say. You know, that makes it, even if he's going to do nothing. Like, all he has to say is that, you know, he'll see what he can do, Or, you know, he's paying close attention. You know, just make one of those, like, generic political statements that really isn't saying anything, but he wants to make it sound like it's saying something. That's all he had to fucking do. But no, he instead says, if you're a real fan, you'll find a way to make it happen. Like, fuck right off, Randy. Alright, here's the exchange. Randy, this game better not be $80. Don't take that risk. A lot of gamers aren't going to pay $80 and feed this notion of constant increase of the price tag. You are the CEO, and you have a say with the price when it comes to your publisher. And here was Randy's response. A, not my call. B, if you're a real fan, you'll find a way to make it happen. My local game store had Starflight for the Sega Genesis for $80 in 1991. When I was just out of high school working minimum wage at an ice cream parlor in Pismo Beach, I found a way to make it happen. So, this you know that boomer thing that boomers and Gen X do, where they're like, oh, if you want a job, just go to a place and give them your resume, right? Or, oh, kids these days don't want to work anymore. They're so lazy. Not acknowledging that the price of a house has gone up like 400% since they were, you know, our age, or younger, right? That that back in 1970, you could support a family of 4 for minimum wage. That's what minimum wage was designed to do, support a family of 4. But now, you know, everything is more expensive than ever before now, but people still make the same money they did in, like, I think the last time the minimum wage was raised was like 2009. This very much reads like one of those like boomer things of like, oh, well, back in the day, you know, we were able to do it, so you kids should be able to do it without any issue. Like, fuck off, Randy. And then we'll see, I'm going to continue reading, but we'll see if it gets into the microtransaction thing. Alright, so continuing on with the IGN story, as you'd expect, Pitchford's comment has sparked a ferocious response. LMA CEO said real fans. Woo-wee. In this economy, said one social media user. Wow, that's probably a bad taste. Cost of living crisis, and you're just going to say, if you're a real fan, damn, said another. What an elitist, out-of-touch response, another said. His solution, just buy it if you will. Is this how you treat the loyal consumer? You should have just left that response at not my call and kept the gaslighting out of your response. Last week during a PAX East panel, Pitchford insisted that he didn't know if Borderlands 4 price, but refused to rule out $80. I'll tell you the truth. I don't know. That is the truth. I'll hit it straight on. It's an interesting time, he said. On one level, we've got a competitive marketplace where the people that make the choices want to sell as many units as possible, and they want to be careful about the people are price sensitive. There are some folks who don't want to see prices go up, even the ones deciding what prices are. There are folks out there accepting the reality of games, budgets are increasing, and there are tariffs at the retail packaging. It's getting gnarly out there, you guys. Borderlands 4 has more than twice the development budget of Borderlands 3. More than twice. So the truth is, I don't know what the price tag's gonna be. In a recent IGN, asked Take-Two boss Strauss Zelnick if the company would go to $80 on this game. Zelnick wouldn't say either way, but didn't say consumers will be willing to pay for the very best. I have said for a long time that we offer enormous value, and that's our job, Zelnick said. Of course, we certainly believe that compared to other forms of entertainment, whether that movie tickets or live service events or streaming services, the value for our entertainment that we offer is astonishing, and it's our job. It's our job to deliver more valuable than that we've changed, but our goal, we think the consumers are willing to pay the very best. It's our job to make the very best. Mafia, the old country is $50. Claire Obscura. Okay, so the one thing that they leave out there is that potentially Borderlands 4 is also going to have microtransactions. That on top of just increasing the price, which, you know, I know that sounds non-committal, but If they're being non-committal, that probably means they're going to. On top of all that, yeah, allegedly, Randy Pitchford has also been very loosey-goosey on whether or not the game is going to go up in price. Or whether or not the game's going to have microtransactions. And that's another thing. Like, people are now paying more money for the game, but games also still have microtransactions. Because that was kind of the thing Fortnite figured out, was that, like, hey, if people aren't paying as much for the games, they're only, you know, if you give a game for free, people are far more willing to spend money on microtransactions. And they're 100% correct. But now if you're going to charge more money for the game, but also charge for microtransactions, yeah, people are far less likely to do that. It's like the whole thing with GTA 6 Online. Like, they're obviously going to, you know, when you get GTA 6 at potentially $100 or whatever they're going to do, they're also going to have GTA Online, even though it might not be there at launch, and GTA Online is going to have microtransactions. And nobody wants that, but that's what they're going to do. I know there are some people who want that. I shouldn't say nobody wants that, because, you know, some people just, you know, new game go brrr. But, yeah, like, here's the thing. One of the things that even though I do not like Borderlands, it's not my series, one of the things I will give the series credit for is that in the modern age, they make games that are just games. Sure, they've had I think Borderlands 3 had DLC, but when it came to, like, microtransactions, loot boxes, they didn't really mess around with any of that. And, like, cosmetics, nowadays, you know, everything's a cosmetic that you gotta pay money for. Oh, you want a new skin on your gun? Spend 99 cents to get a cosmetic. Oh, you want your rifle to look a little different in Fortnite? Buy a cosmetic. Oh, get a loot box in whatever other game you're playing. Everything has an extra price point. Whereas, like, back in the day, you know, PS2, Xbox 360, and prior, that would just all be included in the game. And one of the things, even though, you know, a lot of people did not care for Borderlands 3, one of the things that people did give it credit for was that because it didn't do any of that shit, it actually felt really nice that as you're playing through the game, you're actively, like, getting rewards that, like, allow you to, like, customize your character and change things in a way that actually feels good as a player. Like, that's why so many people like games like Elden Ring and Dark Souls, is because they let you customize your character. You know, that's why Fashion Souls is such a big thing. That's why I will never say, you know, people will say, like, oh, it's just cosmetic. A cosmetic microtransaction doesn't matter. At least it's not affecting gameplay. If people didn't care about cosmetics, then things like Fashion Souls wouldn't exist. Right? People do care about cosmetics. They always have. It's just a lot easier for these companies to sell cosmetics back to you because people think they don't matter. So no, just cosmetic things bullshit. And Borderlands, to its credit, didn't do that. But now it looks like that's potentially going to change. I mean, nothing has been said for certain. Randy has been very non-committal about all of this. But it looks like that might probably be a thing. So yep, here's another completely tone-deaf statement from Randy Bobandy. Man, fuck Randy. You know, it's just, man, it's so just out of touch and tone deaf. Such a baby boomer statement. But if you're a real fan, you'll find a way. That's such a, I just put the Jimquisition voice. Real fans will find a way. With the mocking voice. I can't do an impression, but yeah. So yeah, that's just, you know, again, I want to state with Nintendo, there's a lot of misinformation out there. Only Mario Kart is going up in price. Every other Nintendo game that we know about so far on Switch 2 is only going to be $70. They're just increasing the price of that one game. And it seems to be every other gaming studio that's being greedy and being like, well, if Nintendo put this one game at 80, then we can put all of our games at 80. Even though Nintendo's doing it once. Again, the complication there is the upgrade pass, because the upgrade passes are $10 unless they come with DLC. Because they're bundling certain upgrade passes with DLC, in which case they're charging $20. So that's how you get games like Kirby and Mario Party that are $80, because the upgrade pass is $20 because it's a game, the general upgrade pass, but also a DLC expansion. So that's, I think, where the complication's coming in. But no, again, I've seen a lot of people blaming Nintendo for the price increase of the Xbox. It's not. It's Trump's fault. But even still, it is also these corporate companies being greedy. I'm amazed PlayStation didn't announce a price increase this week. I know Trump has once again backed out of his China stuff. At least he did the Trump thing of pushing the can down the road, kind of like what he's been doing with TikTok, where he's just going to continually keep pushing the can down the road every few months until, the end of his administration. That's kind of where we're at with that. And yeah, same thing with these tariffs. He's just going to keep pushing the can down the road. Meanwhile, he's now fighting a war with Harvard that hopefully he starts fighting with other universities. Harvard already fucked up by taking too long to respond to Trump. But then you see, like, Columbia, and they're totally on board with what Trump's doing. And, like, you see their graduation where they're booing the guest speaker and everything. And, like, rightfully so. Columbia completely fucked up. Fuck them. And, yeah, no, they deserve... I wish more universities would go after Trump. Because this is the death of America. I've seen a lot of people make comparisons to, like, this in Nazi Germany, with its anti-intellectualism, kicking out all of its scientists to go to America, who went to America, and now America's kicking out all of its scientists to go to China, or Canada, or Australia, and I don't blame them at all. I don't, because that's just kind of the country we are in now. Alright, let's move on to our next story. So, Nintendo does this thing that's like... It's a series that's like Ask the Developers, where basically every week since the Switch's reveal, they've been putting out an Ask the Developers, including one on Borderlands 4, I think. I think they did one with Randy Pitchford. But yeah, every week Nintendo's been sitting down and doing an Ask the Developers. I'm trying to load up Twitter right now. I'm trying to see if I can just load up the article. I bookmarked it on Twitter somewheres. So yeah, this is volume 18 of Ask the Developers. And so in this, basically we found out a lot of information behind the scenes about Mario Kart World. Specifically the fact that Mario Kart World has been in development since 2017. Not that the game was in development hell. At least not how we traditionally think about development hell. I could see the argument, but not how we, like, when I say, like, Silksong's in development hell, I talk about it very differently. When I say that Mario Kart World's in development hell, it's a different thing. What Mario Kart World, basically, they started development in 2017 with the intention of this being the Mario Kart game for the original Switch. Maybe a 2020 release date, maybe something a little later than that. Because a lot of, Mario Kart 8 was is over a decade old. And, people were always like, oh, well, what about a Mario Kart on Switch? And it was like, oh, Nintendo doesn't need to make one because it sold so well. Well, I guess before Mario Kart 8 sold almost 70 million units, Nintendo had started development on the next one. And their intention was to release it on the original Switch. But as they were working on it, basically they had all these ideas for a new Mario Kart, going open world, doing all that. And while they could get it working on Switch, it wasn't up to their standards. Basically, like, they could get Mario Kart World running on Switch, but they wanted 24 players. And they probably weren't going to be able to get 24 players on the thing. They wanted to have it, you know, they'd want a better frame rate. The Switch would lock them in at 30 best. So they'd be stuck with a 30, you know, piece frame rate. So you have all these issues. And so during development, right, with all these issues, basically they had to make all these compromises. And they decided the compromises weren't worth it. So they instead decided to put the game on the back burner. They put it away for, not that, like, I guess they continued working on it a little bit, but they put it on the back burner so that way they could focus on other things, and they pivoted to the booster course pass. Because that's one of the weird things about this Mario Kart is, right, it came out on Switch 2 near launch. I think it came out within the first, like, 3 months. And then years later, we got the booster course pass. And that always just kind of felt like, oh, you know, Nintendo just didn't expect it to do as well as it did. So then at one point they clearly were like, oh, well, I guess let's make people pay more money for it or whatever. But no, they had genuinely started working on the next Mario Kart. And they came across these issues. Oh god, here's our first floodless level. These suck. Does this one? I think this one sucks. This is the sinking sand one. Fuck. So they started working on the game. It wasn't up to their standards. So they kind of put it on the back burner and pivoted and started working on the booster course pass. Just jump into your stream, power up like a Mario Kart. But yeah, so that's what happened. That originally Mario Kart was started development in 2017, and they had to push it on the back burner. But hey, we got the booster course pass, and to be fair, I really like the booster course pass. I know some people have problems with it, that it doesn't look as good, that it's got its own fair square of issues, and I'm not going to write any of that off, but in general, I actually really enjoy the booster course pass. The fact that Mario Kart 8 has 96 tracks is crazy. Like, that's so many tracks. But no, I think in hindsight, I can look at that and be like, that's a good pivot. You know, you have a game that's doing insanely well. You can use its fan base to sell either more copies or to sell this the booster course pass. Or if people don't want to buy that, they just buy Nintendo Switch Online, because the booster course was included in that. I think they did a great job at pivoting here. Genuinely, that makes sense. I guess they pivoted in 2020, right? So it was definitely a quick turnaround, but it made sense. Like, I get it. Oh god, I remember this level sucking as well. Oof. I remember these cataquacks get, like, stuck on the thing if you don't do it right. But no, I think that makes perfect sense. I think that's a good pivot. And then I guess also, right, when they pivoted towards the booster course pass, they also did, you know, they continued working on Mario Kart World. And while doing that, they didn't know what the Switch 2 was going to be. The Switch 2 was in development by this point, but they only had, like, a rough idea of what the specs were going to be. So they just took that rough idea and assumed, like, oh, well, it's probably going to be this good. So let's just assume it's this good and just kind of work with it. And, yeah, I mean, again, I haven't played it yet. We haven't, you know, we still don't fully know everything. But what I've seen so far looks really nice. So I think, from this pivot job, I think they did a good job. I'm very excited to see what it is. I really hope there's some stuff they're keeping hidden from us. Like, I really kind of hope that... I know people will look at, like, oh, this game's been in development for 8 years now. And I know some people will be like, oh, I kind of wish there was more content than what's currently there. And I kind of agree. Can I be honest? This kind of... If you know about the development of the first Shrek movie, at the time, DreamWorks was working on The Prince of Egypt. And they were working on Shrek at the same time. And as a punishment for people who were working on The Prince of Egypt, like, if you screwed up, they made you go work on Shrek. that was considered a punishment at DreamWorks. And I kind of wonder if the same thing's for Mario Kart. Like, oh yeah, you know, you're working on Mario Kart World, but if you screw up anything, then you gotta go work on the Booster Course Pass. That's your punishment. That's a joke, by the way. But yeah, so this game's been in development for a long time. I really hope we see the fruits of its labor pays off. I don't know. I am worried about some things, obviously. Like, I do feel like the game's kind of... Like, I know they're like, oh, well, if you take all of the roads into account, there's actually closer to, like, 200 courses. I know that's what Nintendo's been saying, but I still would have liked to have seen more actual courses. And there's got to be DLC. Nintendo must have looked at how well the DLC did for the Booster Course Pass and been like, we need to do that again. I really hope that's what's going to happen. I know I hope it's baked in. I really hope part of the reason they're doing an $80 price point is because that DLC is kind of baked into the game. Well, I no longer believe that theory about the different worlds. If they do anything like that, that would be so nice. I would love for there to be multiple worlds, multiple places to visit. That just sounds like a lot of fun, but I don't know if they're gonna do that. I'm genuinely kind of worried, but we'll see. But no, I'm so excited. 2 weeks away. We are 2 weeks from Mario Kart World, and I am very excited. Because, man, do I love Mario Kart. Yeah. So what else have we found out from these developers' interviews? So one of the things we found out is, because, you know, a lot of people see the cow in the game, or our dear Cataquack here, and wonder, like, how do some of these characters make it in? Especially because, you know, there's all these, like, popular characters people want. Egad is one of the big ones. He doesn't make it in. But fucking Cow and Cataquack do? Well, I guess we found out that basically Nintendo, while working on the game, you know, they do concept art and whatnot, and we got a bunch of pieces of concept art. You can go look, and we got a bunch of new pieces of concept art in this developer interview. But one of them is the cow and a little milk truck. And they made that as a piece of concept art, and was like, that's amazing. That's such a good idea. Let's just add that to the game. So that's how the cow made it in, is they just did it as, like, basically a joke. And we're like, oh, that's really funny. Let's actually do that. Which, yeah, I like stuff like that. People are so excited for that cow. Do I wish it was called a Moo Moo instead of a cow? Because, you know, it's called Moo Moo Meadows. Yes, I do. But I still am excited for that cow. That cow does seem... That's a fun idea. Even though I am definitely more likely to play a Cataquack. Because it's the Cataquack. You know, look at that Cataquack. I know there's none on screen right now, but you get my point. Okay. So we got that. We found out about the music. There's basically, when you play the free roam mode, there's going to be like some sort of jukebox. Now, previously, I had suggested that Nintendo add Nintendo Music integration. So that way, while you're driving around the open world in Mario Kart World, you can listen to your favorite Nintendo soundtracks. Because, you know, most of, like, Forza, they have, like, an in-game, like, radio stations. You know, GTA does radio stations. So I think it would have made a lot of sense for them to do radio stations or something like that. And it seems like there's going to be some sort of jukebox. And the jukebox is filled with these, you know, live performances, these orchestral versions of a bunch of classic songs with over 200 songs in this jukebox. And the one clip they were showing around was a Super Mario Bros. 3 theme, but, you know, it's performed with an orchestra, and yeah, it sounds nice. I think the idea of, you know, Super Mario, you know, taking all this classic Nintendo music and just, like, putting it in there, yeah, no, that sounds great. Just being able to listen to all this classic Mario music. Would I like to have them put Nintendo Music integration? Yes, I think that would have been cool. But, you know, I think what we have here is fine. You know, I can't wait to be driving around and listen to Gusty Garden Galaxy from Galaxy from Galaxy. One of the best songs Nintendo's ever made. I saw a tweet about that today. That's the only reason I specifically picked that song. Is because someone pointed out that Nintendo, since Galaxy's released, Nintendo uses that song all the time. It's one of their favorite songs to use in like a Mario trailer because it's so good. And yeah, fair enough. So in total, so there's 200 jukebox songs, plus all the courses have songs. So the total track list that we know about so far is 232 songs, which is crazy. That's a lot of music already. So that's good. It's nice to know about all that, you know. You're going to have a lot of good tunes to listen to, even if I'm just going to keep listening to Dungeon Crawler Carl while I play Mario Kart. Because there's no way I'm finished with all 7 books by, you know, 2 weeks. I might be, but I'd say it's a little less likely. Other information, they talked about how in Mario Kart World, it's not just going to be like the mission mode isn't just going to be like, oh, go collect the blue coins, drive through the rings. They're trying to do like more interesting missions. Like the 2 examples they've given is there's one in Moo Moo Meadows where the farm has been infested with cows. So instead of, you know, just driving to drive past a few cows, you're having to drive past like 200. Like basically the cows make like barrier walls, and you're gonna have to drive between them as they move around. It's very chaotic, you know, that's kind of fun. The other example they give is there's one in the ice cream cone level. What's not Vanilla Lake, not Sherbert Land. Whatever the ice cream level is, I'm clearly forgetting the name. The one from Mario Kart Tour that's in Mario Kart 8. The one that's just literally just a giant circle, like Baby Park or Excite Bike Arena. Sky High Sundae, there it is. There's a Sky High Sundae one where you have to get through the track, but you can't drive. You have to drive specifically only on the walls. That's one they showed off this morning. So, you know, they're trying to make more interesting challenges. Do I think they're all going to be good? Probably not. Yeah, I would not have, you know, the highest hope in all of them being good, but as many as they can get, I'd love to see. Have they showed off any others? I'm opening up that Nintendo Today app that I always forget about, because that's where I swear I saw the other one. They were showing off game screen skies. Oh, here's the one I was talking about earlier with the Peach Switch Mission 2 with the ice cream cone. Oops. Yeah, so it's perform a bold escape through the ice cream ravine. And it's on Sky High Sundae, or somewhere's adjacent to that. And yeah, they basically have to drive between the walls. And the ending is a gliding section. It's a very short mission. But, you know, at least, you know, they're showing off some stuff. They're trying to make it more interesting. We did also get a look at the badges page, I think. At some point, they showed off the badges. Because, you know, we've seen the 1-up fuel thing multiple times. But now we've actually seen, like, there's, like, a badge page where you see a bunch of these, like, different badges. So that's, you know, we kind of knew that was happening anyways. But, yeah. Hey, how's it going? I'm talking about Mario Kart World right now. Any thoughts? Oh god, I remember this level as well. I think this one sucks. Yeah, I mean, to be fair, I don't like the P-Switch one, or the hat one in Mario Kart 6 or in Mario 64. Rainbow, it's not called Rainbow Ride. I don't remember what it's called, but I remember not liking that one either. To be fair, we're doing seven blue coins already. That's very good. Is this one glitchy? Is that the problem with the Sandbird? I know there's some sort of bullshit here. Is it glitchy? I don't remember. It's been a long time. Yeah, maybe it's glitchy. But we made it up. But yeah, no, everything we've seen about Mario Kart World, I do like. Do I think the game has justified its $80 price point? No. No, I don't. Nothing I've seen has been like if they had said this game is $70, they probably would have gotten away with it with, you know, minor complaints. But an extra 10 to make it up to 80, nothing I've seen has really justified that. Yes, did I buy a bundle to get it for 50? Yes. Yes, I 100% did do that. But, listen, just because other companies are being greedy doesn't mean that Nintendo isn't being greedy either. They most definitely are. It's just kind of so is every company. And you know, we make less money than ever before. So that's also compounding the problem. Honestly, it's such a wild and colorful universe. I'm just casually scrolling through Coconut Mall or chilling in the water in case I'm chaotic. See, yeah, I love that idea. I love the idea of, like, imagine if you go to Coconut Mall and you can go to, like, the different like, you can race on the course still, but then in, like, free roam, you can just go there and, like, go to the different shops and, like, hey, this shop sells new costumes. This shop sells, like, different, like, colors for your cart, you know, customization stuff. I think that would be a lot of fun. Is that what they're doing? Not exactly, but I would love that. Because, yeah, I do hope the game has DLC. I hope we don't have to pay for it. I hope they do more of, like, the Splatoon thing, where it's, like, just 2 years of free DLC, and they put out a new handful of tracks every, like, 3 months. That would be like, if they put out 4 new tracks every month, that would be very nice. I don't know. We'll have to wait and see. Because they're obviously not going to say anything. Yeah. So there is a rumor. I don't have it here. But I guess there is a rumor that, we're going to get a Nintendo Direct in a few weeks. That, from Stealth 40K over on Twitter, that basically sometime in the next, like, 2 weeks, we're gonna get a Nintendo Direct after, not in the next 2 weeks, but basically either the week the Switch 2 launches or the week after that, we're going to get a Nintendo Direct. And if that's, you know, Mario Kart World comes out and then that following week we get a Nintendo Direct and they lay out, like, hey, here's your first wave of DLC for Mario Kart World. That would be nice. So, you know, I know the game just had come out, you know, potentially, like, a week later, or, like, a week earlier. But already, you know, giving people stuff to look forward to. I would really like that. Well, we'll see. We'll see what happens, obviously. But I would like that. We've been going for about an hour. I mean, we're what? 9-10 stars in at this point. Or shines. Man, I'm so used to them just being stars. That lost us the race right there. We were doing so good, and because we bonked. So close. Anything else I gotta say about Mario Kart World? Let me look at my notes real quick. Development started in 2017. Oh, another thing they said in this developer interview. What do you mean by that? So part of them saying like they had to push the game back and delay Mario Kart, part of what they were talking about is that because, you know, they adjusted, they pivoted to work on the Switch 2. God, I've said pivot like 100 times. Because they pivoted, they no longer felt like they were in any rush. You know, because that's one of the things that Nintendo can benefit from. You hear like the developers talk about Mario Wonder, and they were like, Nintendo just told us make a game, gave us all the time we wanted, and that's how we got Mario Wonder. You know, Tears of the Kingdom got an extra year of development just to polish the game. So it's really, so giving Mario Kart, you know, all the time they need to polish the game, make something nice. Sure, did it fix the netcode? No. Nah, I'm good. I like what I have. So yeah, that's just, you know, that's something Nintendo does. And I really hope that's what's going on with GTA right now. Because GTA, I would not at all be surprised if that game, I hope GTA 6 is closer to done than they're actually saying, but they're gonna spend the next year polishing the game. You know, making sure it doesn't bug or glitch. That, you know, because that's something that, after Cyberpunk, I feel like a lot of goodwill has been burned. And, well, sure, do gamers have the memories of Goldfish? Yes. Yes, they do. But I really hope that's what's happening. I really hope they're going to take that extra year. Now that it's not coming out until, like, May of next year. Basically a year and 3 days away. They're going to take that time and they're going to pivot. That would be very nice. But you know, it's Rockstar. We'll just kind of have to wait and see. At least they aren't crunching. At least not like they did with Rockstar. Not like they did with Red Dead Redemption 2. Alright, let's move on to WIBE. Let's talk about what I've been doing. So I don't have any food stuff this week. There's nothing that... There are certain places, you know, because there are places that always are doing new weird stuff. But then there are certain places that haven't done anything in a long time. Specifically, like, Burger King. I don't think Burger King has done shit since, like, February. It's been a long time. And I only bring that one up because they're doing something next week. But yeah, it's been a while since we've talked about any food, or it's been a while since, like, certain places. Same with Jack in the Box. I don't think Jack in the Box has also done anything since February. Because the only reason I bring all that stuff up is because I feel like we've just been doing, like, oh, hey, look, it's pizza this week. Oh, hey, McDonald's has chicken tenders. When, like, the weird places aren't doing anything. Like Burger King, Jack in the Box. I mean, Little Caesars has that pretzel crust. That shit's good. But, you know, a lot of the weird places aren't doing anything. It's just like, oh, Freddy's is doing a brisket burger. Dr. Pepper Shake's back at Whataburger or something. Like, yeah, it's safe. It's boring. But, yeah, Burger King's doing something next week. Not that it's anything that special. But yeah, I'll have more stuff to talk about next week. I'm sure I will. So I got none of that. I got 2 video games. I've been playing, Splatoon, obviously. We're going to talk about that one. You know, we're playing Sunshine right now. We're fighting this stupid robot. So obviously we'll talk about that. I might as well talk about Game Changer. You know, we've talked about every other episode so far. I forgot to put it on the list originally, but I have it now. So we'll talk about that. And then the one movie I did see was Mission Impossible. I've got things to say. I've got a lot to say. So, yeah. And finally, you know, however long's left, we'll talk about a book. We'll talk about Dungeon Crawler Carl. I've got a lot to say, because it's a fucking 10-hour audiobook. Of course I've got a lot to say. Even though I'm trying to rack my brain right now about how the second book ends, and I cannot for the life of me remember. Like, there are certain things I remember, But I just... Maybe I'm going too fast, because some of it I do not remember. So let's start with Splatoon. So, my mother has been playing Splatoon 3. Last time we talked, she had done a run with the sword, the Splatana Stamper. And it was actually a really good run. She had gotten to the 30th floor, gotten to the final boss with enough mem bucks for a continue. And she just couldn't beat the Overlorder's third phase. She could beat the first phase, no problem. She beat the second phase, no problem. But she was really struggling against the third phase. Specifically, the hydrant attack, you know, the one where he shoots like the 3 lasers at you. Let's call it the Stingray, because I can't remember what exactly. It might just be called the Stingray. She was struggling against that, and she was struggling against the Reef Slider. The Reef Slider was really... She just couldn't get away fast enough. So those 2 attacks were really tripping her up. But she ended up... She went into it with like 6 lives. She lost all 6. She couldn't do it. A few days later, she comes back in again. And... But because she had gotten to like 420, she had some unlocks. So she got some keys and got the Luna Blaster. She was like, oh, okay, she did a Luna Blaster run. And sure enough, she was able to get to the Overlorder. Her kit wasn't like... So when I beat the Overlorder with the Luna Blaster, my kit was all about rapid fire, shooting as many shots as possible, as quick as possible, which made it a very ink-hungry weapon, but also very effective. Her kit was a lot slower than that. I think she put a lot more into like explosive damage. She put more into the drone chips. She had she really likes the Ink Strike drone chip. She doesn't like normal Ink Strike. She's really bad because she doesn't use sub-weapons at all. So she's really bad at normal Ink Strike. But she likes when Pearl does it for her. Hey, look, it's Bowser Jr. So she did her Luna Blaster kit. She got to the Overlorder. I think she replaced the special. I can't remember what special the Luna Blaster had. I think it maybe starts with Wave Breaker. And she replaced it with... What did she replace? She either replaced it with Stamper or Crab Tank. I'm going to guess Crab Tank. I'm going to guess she replaced it with Crab Tank. So she was just able to go in, shoot it with Crab Tank. She was really strong. She had enough for 2 continues. She blew through her first 4 lives. Really quick. You know, she got to the 3rd phase almost instantly. And then just kind of blew through it. And then, right, she got stuck. Her big problem is that because she plays so close range, she very much barrels head first into a group of enemies and gets surrounded. Like, that's what killed her Splatana run. Is instead of, like, keeping some distance, shooting at the pods with the Crab Tank, the portals, she instead wants to get right next to them. Enemies be damned. Right? She'll run head first into a group of enemies. And whenever her, you know, like, when the shield breaks in Splatoon 3, how it, like, shoots you up in the air so that way you can, like, fly away. Yeah, she's got a bad habit of when her shield breaks, she just turns into a squid. And when you're a squid, you can't use your pearl drone to fly away. So that's another one of her bad habits. She's gotten better at it as she goes through, but, you know, her instinct is to turn into a squid and squid away, and that's just not how side order works. But eventually, after, you know, a few tries, a full continue, she was able to get to it. She broke all the portals. She used her Crab Tank, used her thing, and she was able to kill the Overlorder. So this was her first successful run. So afterwards, you have to do the thing where you get all the color chips. It took her like 4 tries to do that. Because she would get the first, like, 2. She'd get, like, the mobility ones and the range ones. But then she'd die. Because, again, she still sucks dealing with the Stingray. And that's always what they would use the first. That'd be the first attack. But eventually, you know, she figured it out. She got through. And she beat the run. So she did that successful run, rolled credits. And then I was like, okay, now you gotta do it again with the next weapon. You know, because technically she could just walk away right now. You know, she's done her successful run. I know she's not going to use any of these weapons online. Even though I told her, it's funny, because I told her when she started playing 3, I was like, you're going to like the Splatana. And because, you know, again, she plays very close range. No matter what weapon she uses, she plays close range. But I was like, you're going to like the Splatana. She didn't believe me. And now that she's playing it online, yeah, she's doing a lot better. Alright, now that she's, you know, playing it in side order, she realizes that, yeah, it's her type of weapon. So, after doing her first successful run, a few days later, she goes back in, does her next run with the Stamper. I want to say she failed that run again. She got pretty far in, but something tripped her up. The one thing I've told her not to do is not to do the Sisyphean floor. As far as I know, she's never done the Sisyphean floor. I've basically just told her on the top 10 floors, don't do a zone floor, or a rigorous zone floor. Because there's a good chance it's going to be the Sisyphean. Not guaranteed, but, you know, it's a good likelihood. So I want to say the next Splatana run she failed. Then she did another Splatana, and that one she did successfully beat. She did finally beat a Splatana one. So she did that, she got that weapon, and then the most recent one, and I told her after her first successful run, I was like, every run gets a little easier. Now that you've had one successful, they're just gonna get easier from here. Even if you're using like a weapon, like the sniper or the bow. I was like, even if you're using those weapons, I still say they get easier. Because those weapons, you know, I'm not good with the sniper. Or I've gotten a lot better at the bow, but I'm not good with the sniper. I think the sniper run inside order is actually pretty easy once you have enough upgrades. But yeah, so she did a run with the Octobrush. The Sheldon's Octobrush. She did that run, and that was her most recent one. So she's beat the game 3 times. I told her to do the sniper next, because she kind of completely forgot she had the sniper. Because she's used the sniper once before. I kind of tricked her into it. And she got to floor like 24. So she's going to go back in and do a sniper run. I told her if she can do a sniper run, she can do a bow run. They work very similar. Even though they're not similar weapons, you know, I honestly really like the bow run inside order. I had a good time with it anyways. And that's the whole reason I use a bow online, is because I like the bow so much inside. I like the bow so much inside order. That's her first game over. So she did that, and that's where she currently is. I think she's done a fourth of the runs. She's had 3 successful runs, and so that means she's got 8 more to go. Or, not 8. 9? 9 more to go? Is that correct? Yeah, 9. 9 more to go. The one thing I have warned her about the 8 hero shooter, but she hasn't actually done it yet. Like, because you have to beat every other run to unlock 8 hero shooter. That's the last thing you get in the locker, as far as I remember. So she's not that far yet, but I have kind of warned her that there's gonna be a run where she can't use any of her hacks. We'll see. We shall see. I don't think she's gonna be able to do it, because personally, I've never done it. Because watching her play side order has made me want to play side order. So I myself have been playing while listening to Dungeon Crawler Carl, and I've specifically been doing the minimum pallet runs. Well, I got every upgrade, because in my own playthrough, I never actually got all the marina hacks. Like, I don't think I ever got more than, like, 4 lives, because I never saw a reason to get more than 4. But I went in, I did a bunch of runs with the chip tone bonus, where you just get the same chip over and over, the same color. I did a bunch of those runs, got a bunch of points, and I went in, I bought everything at the shop, I bought all the marina hacks, so I've done all that now. And the last thing I need to do is the 8th palette, where you have to do I think you can only use 4 hacks, and you've got to beat it. I have beaten an 8 run before, but I used all my hacks and only got like 4 chips. That was my 8 run. So for this one, I'm gonna use the only hack I plan on using is like the only one I've been doing so far, because I've done a few runs already, is I've used an extra life, because I think having an extra life is very valuable. And then I've either taken a defense up or an attack up. Both are useful in their own ways. But just having like a little bit of extra defense is really nice. And, you know, I think using just 2 upgrades, that only takes away like 6 of your chip slots. That's not too bad. So I've done a few runs with the 8's kit. Overall, they haven't gone so well. I haven't gotten to order yet. Because I've had some close runs in the past. Like, a few months ago, I did some runs. And I actually got to the Overlorder. I just couldn't beat him. But this time, I haven't had that many close runs. I think the best I've maybe done is like 420 something. I haven't actually gotten back to the Overlorder. So I'm kind of struggling through it. Some runs, you know, I get some good chips. I get some good upgrades. Things are going well. I think the most about are the luck upgrades. Having the luck upgrades, Lucky Bomb especially, is so nice. I find Lucky, especially in this run where it's, you know, minimum upgrades, having it basically so every enemy you kill has like a 30% chance to drop a bomb is so nice. It stacks up a lot. It really does. After a while, it really starts to add up. So I am working on that. And man, I thought about streaming it tonight. I really did. I thought about like, oh, maybe I'll stream it tonight instead of doing Sunshine. We'll go in and maybe we'll just get lucky and have our successful run. I ended up not doing that, but I might come back to that in the future. I haven't ruled it out yet, but I'm definitely thinking about, like, you know, just keep doing runs of side order until we do the minimum palette clear. I don't know. I keep saying that, you know, once Mario Kart World comes out, this becomes a Mario Kart World channel. And, like, that's still my intention, but we'll actually see how that plays out. Because we're only starting... I expect Sunshine to take 2-3 streams. And right now, this, you know, we're doing okay right now, I think. We need 50 stars, so if we can get like 25 today, that means we just have to get 25 next time, and then we'll be able to do it on the next, you know, we'll either be able to beat it next time, or we'll be able to beat it the time after that. I don't entirely know, but that's kind of my goal right now. I literally have no idea how many shrines we have. I know we have more than 10, but I don't know how many more than 10. But you know, I'm just gonna keep working on it. But yeah, if we can get 25 is kind of my goal. I think we can do 25 hours. But yeah, so that's like the one game I've been playing. Is I've been doing runs of side order while listening to my audiobook. I guess let's talk about Sunshine. So now that we're like over an hour into Sunshine here, what are my thoughts? It's okay. I'll be honest. Some of this shit's annoying. Like that previous level with the disappearing blocks. Like, yeah, would that have been a lot easier with a jetpack where we can just wait it out if we like kind of screw up? Yes. Is shit like that annoying? Yes. The physics are very wonky in this game. But that's why they give you the jetpack, you know? You've got the water jetpack, so that way, you know, the annoying physics are less annoying in theory. That you can work around that. Is that actually working? I don't know. I'm just kind of rolling with the stroll. You know, I'm strolling with the stews. You know, they may be silly, but I can stroll with them nevertheless. But this game can be kind of annoying. Like, getting on this boat is kind of, right, staying here is kind of annoying. But I'm still having a good time. Like, the theming on this game is great. All the tropical island vibes are so nice, so enjoyable. It's still a Nintendo game, and Nintendo knows how to make video games. So I'm having a good time, even if it is kind of annoying. Like, yeah, this is the black sheep of Nintendo, but it's not bad. Yeah, like an amusement park level is so much fun in a game like this. Like, that's like a platformer amusement park. That sounds so good. And the actual level, like that Bowser thing was so annoying. Though there were so many bullet bills on that roller coaster. And that we're not doing that balloon level. I dread that balloon level. I remember that level sucking. I know at some point we got to climb the Ferris wheel. I remember that. I don't remember anything else. I just remember having to climb the Ferris wheel. We've gotten... Okay, we're 12 shines, 4 blue coins. That's not too bad, I guess. Yeah, if we can just get like 13 more, that'd be nice. So that's my goal. But no, Mario Sunshine's not bad. I think the controls on the Switch version are working fine. Like, sure, would it play better with a GameCube controller? Maybe. But I feel like the Switch works fine. Like, I've never... Like, the worst thing that happened so far is just, like, I hit the jump button and it didn't jump on that previous level we just did with the disappearing platforms. That's happened once or twice, but that just might be me having bad timing. Other than that, no, I am enjoying this game. It's just weird, man. It's a weird Nintendo game from the early 2000s. I think this was 2002? Because Luigi's Mansion was 2001. And I think Sunshine came a year later. That sounds right. Oh my god. Alright, let's talk Game Changer, shall we? So, we did get a new Game Changer episode. It was, let me look it up. It's called, like, it's something to do with crowd work. So, when I saw the episode, and it's crowd work, my biggest fear was that it was going to be about bombing. That they were going... It's called crowd control. Okay, that's the name of it. My big fear was that it was going to be an episode where they intentionally have to bomb in front of a crowd. Because I don't know if you watch Impractical Jokers. Impractical Jokers, you know, I'm not even going to go into it. But as one of the punishments one week, Sal... This is annoying. As one of the punishments one week, Sal has to go in to, like, he's at, like, an office party or something. And he intentionally has to bomb. He has just to do an awful setup. He has to do an awful show. And he's at, like, a business conference. And it is one of the hardest things to watch. Watching someone intentionally bomb at comedy is fucking miserable. Whether it's intentional or not, it's fucking miserable. So I was really expecting the third. So there's the normal game, right? They set up the game, they do a few rounds, they then twist it, they pull a loop-de-loop, I was expecting the third loop-de-loop to be, now you have to go up and intentionally bomb around. You know, whoever gives the least or most cringy bomb wins. I was really worried that's what they were going to be. No, that's not what happens at all. They don't have to bomb. In fact, I don't think any of them did bomb. I think they all did a really good job. The 3 people were... what were their names? It's Jeff, Jean-Marco, and Josh. Of these 3 people, the only one I think I've seen before is Josh. I want to say I've seen clips of him on TikTok. No confirmation on that. I cannot guarantee anything about that. But I feel like I've seen clips about him on TikTok. That sounds about right. The other 2 guys I've never heard of before. Jean-Marco, since the episode has aired, I've seen him a bunch on Twitter. He's been all, you know, Sam's been reposting his stuff on Twitter. So I've seen a lot of him since this thing. But when the actual episode aired, no, I'd only maybe heard of Josh. And again, that's just me speculating. Because, can I be honest? Another worry that I had going into this episode. I'm not a big fan of crowd work. I'm very much like a, you know, I like, you know, a stand-up going up, giving their tight 10, calling it a day. That's my... Crowd work can be good, but if it doesn't work, then it fucking sucks. I think, I don't want to say it's high risk, high reward. It is definitely high risk for sure, but I don't know if I'd say it's always high reward. But, so I was kind of worried, but, you know, they go into the episode. I think the game itself has a fun premise of, like, you've got 3 crowd work comedians, and it's a bunch of people with shirts, and you just kind of got to work with it. Ask them what's on their shirt, and then you just kind of got to work with that. You know, you got to do some crowd control. I think that was all good. You got a lot of good people. It's going to be curious to see the behind the scenes, because I'd like to think that behind the scenes, they talk to everybody. That basically there was a round from each of the contestants that was cut. Both in rounds 1 and 2. And I'd like to hope they talk to everybody. At least everybody with a shirt. Oh my god, there's a guy with a mustache. And it's like, I wasted the mustache guy on round 1? That was good. But I think they got some good people. The magnet one was good. I know that's an early on one. I like how he skips past the magician. It's like, ask me about my job. I'm a magician. Nope, not even touching that one. Let's just move on. Boring. Oh, that was fun. If I had to, the winner was, spoiler alert, Gianmarco. And I definitely think he deserved it. I was, you know, I know some people are like those dark humor guys. I can enjoy a dark humor joke, but I'm not a dark humor guy. But him going with the Matthew Perry joke early on, fucking loved that. That set him up as like a... And then the paleontologist being like, oh, we don't look at humans. Fucking great. That being his complaint about the joke. But yeah, he was good. Yeah, the magnet thing. And when they bring it back later for the magnet on the head, that was good. The feet guy was funny. How they play off that. I love how they just keep going. The thing with the diapers. And then they refer back to it like multiple times. There are so many good callbacks. That's another thing. Is that like they keep building on things. Like they don't just like, oh, well, let's talk to this person, let's move on. No, they keep like, oh, hey, get let's talk about the diaper thing again. Let's talk about the magnet thing. Oh, the foot guy, hated that story. So there was a lot of good ones. They did get some good crowd work. Honestly, I really enjoyed it. I think the gamification of the crowd work worked really well. And I liked the twist. Because there's a clip I had seen. I don't remember who it was from. I saw it on the subreddit. Somebody posted it on the subreddit. It's this guy named Greg Stone. You can find this video on YouTube. It's Greg Stone's the comedian. He's at the Comedy Cellar. And the video is comedian gets an answer he wasn't ready for. And, you know, he's doing crowd work, talking about his fucked up family. and then they ask somebody about their family, and they're like, oh yeah, my dad murdered my mom. And it's like, oh fuck, that's your red flag. How do you work from that? And I think Greg Stone, the comedian in that clip, does a good job at recovering from it. So I feel like making red flags into the game, where round 2, they have to pick from the red flags and how much more difficult that's going to be, I feel like that all worked very well. Like, yeah, again, high risk, high reward, knowing that, you know, picking these red flags is potentially going to cause some problems. That, you know, I get it, but I think they all played off of it really well. There is, I think it's Jeff, the first guy, where he asks somebody, he has a conversation with them, and he's just like, yeah, I don't know how to make a joke about this. Let's say I failed this round. You know, it was nice talking to you. I think it was good that one of them admitted defeat at some point, where it's like, no, this is difficult. This is a very, you know, this is a touchy subject. I'm not even going to try to make a joke out of this. You know, it was nice talking to you. There's a certain level of respect there that I do like, that I think worked very well. So overall, I did enjoy the episode. Oh, fuck. The Manta Ray Storm. Big man, why do you forsaken me? I'm holding, you can't see it. I'm holding the Big Man amiibo. I just pulled the big... I have all 3 of Deep Cut on my desk right now, all 3 of their amiibos. I'm currently holding the Big Man amiibo. Big Man, please don't make this difficult for me. I really like how big they made the Big Man. I'm really glad this is a big amiibo. God, I remember fucking hating this level. It was really cool to see it referenced in Splatoon, but God, am I worried about it. So, where were we? Oh yeah, so yeah, crowd work, game changer, really good. They got some good crowd work. Maybe I've been giving a bad rap to crowd work. You know, that's I think my biggest takeaway from the episode, is that, you know, I always worry about crowd work, stuff like that. And no, maybe I've been given a bad rap to crowd work. Maybe it's better than I give it credit for, because I genuinely did really enjoy that episode. Did I like it? What was the previous one? What was the previous one? It was, I did like it more than Earnestness. Not that Earnestness was bad, and that ending is still wild. But Earnestness was, you know, I said it was the weakest episode of the season so far. And no, I still kind of do stand by that. Even though it was cool to see Lisa Gilroy hosting After Midnight this week for Taylor Tomlinson. That was neat. Again, I love seeing them pop up in all these different places. You know, Game Changers able to get some great talent. So no, I did enjoy this crowd control, and it's one of those ideas that I think they could totally do again. Like, there are so many people out there with so many crazy stories that I definitely 100% think you could do that again. So while we're dealing with this impossible challenge, let's talk about Mission Impossible. So, this is the final Mission Impossible movie after, 29 years? You know, I think the first one came out in 96. After 29 years, this is the final one, the final reckoning. And I guess I should start by talking about my history with the franchise. I was not a Mission Impossible fan. I grew up with Fast and the Furious, which those were the dumb, fun action movies that I enjoyed. You know, I was a big Vin Diesel guy, and I'll stand by. Fast 5 is fantastic. I still love that movie. But I was never a big Mission Impossible guy. And then in, probably 2019, 2018... There's a guy on YouTube, Nebula, Patrick H. Willems. He does a lot of analysis of movies and whatnot. He's done some really great work over the years. And he has a series called Patrick Explains, where he sits down with his parents and tells them about movies. And that is basically it's him telling his parents but also telling the audience, like, hey, you should go check out these movies. And he's done one on Fast and the Furious, you know, so if you... Admittedly, I don't think I found him through that. I don't remember how I found Patrick H. Willems. I don't know. Again, that was years ago now. But he did one on Mission Impossible. And I remember watching that Mission Impossible one. That actually was not bad at all. I thought the Manta Ray was going to be so much worse than that. That was not that bad, actually. So, okay, Patrick H. Willems did one on Mission Impossible. Again, this was like 6-7 years ago. Right before Fallout came out. And I watched that video and was like, huh, I should check these movies out. Because again, I can't remember if this was before or after he talked about Fast and the Furious. But he made a really compelling argument for Mission Impossible in that video. And so I bought a DVD collection with all 5 movies. I think the 6th one, maybe it would... I don't think it had come out by that point. Maybe it was in theaters. I don't remember. The only thing I remember, because I don't think I saw... Did I see the 6th one in theaters? I don't think so. But I think that was also the same week MoviePass died. And I got in on MoviePass early enough on that, you know, I was using it, abusing it. And so when MoviePass kind of died that week, I kind of stopped seeing a lot of movies after that. Because, yeah, that was a whole thing. It was a really good deal at the time. I know Regal and Cinemark have, like, their own MoviePass thing nowadays. I'm sure they work fine. But MoviePass was something. Oh, my God, that was something. I saw, in that period, from, like 2018 to 2019, 2017 to 2018, I saw so many fucking movies. But okay, so that's how Mission Impossible was. After watching Patrick H. Willems videos, I watched all of the movies. I saw Fallout. I liked Fallout, but it wasn't my favorite. From the original 5 that I watched, again, all within like a week's time span, my favorite was 4. 4 is, I think, Ghost Protocol, directed by Brad Bird. That's the one where he climbs the Burj Khalifa. If you need to know, I think that's I think Ghost Protocol is the Burj Khalifa. I'm going to double check, but that sounds right. Yeah, Ghost Protocol is the one where he climbs the Burj Khalifa. Okay, I was right. That's the one with Jeremy Renner, and that's always been my personal favorite. I know everyone has their own favorite, except for 2. Nobody likes 2. And I feel like nobody's favorite is 1 either. Like, if you say 3 is your favorite, I get that. That's J.J. Abrams. But I don't feel like anyone says 1 or 2 is their favorite, especially not 2. But no, 4 was my favorite. I saw Fallout. I liked Fallout. I didn't like it as much as 4. And then I saw Dead Reckoning. We talked about it on, well, the previous version of this podcast in chat. We talked about Dead Reckoning on this show. And at the time when I saw Dead Reckoning, it was my favorite. I really enjoyed Dead Reckoning. The train set piece is fantastic. What's the other big one in Dead Reckoning? The entire train thing where he jumps off the cliff. That's all so good. But there's another one. Fuck, what's the other one? I can't remember Dead Reckoning's other set piece. Even though I just watched it. Fuck. Either way, Dead Reckoning is good. I really enjoyed Dead Reckoning. I found out later on that it's actually not that beloved. That because they broke the movie up into 2 parts, people kind of felt underwhelmed by it. And I kind of get that. Like, the entire movie is, like, working towards them. Oh, Rome is the other big set piece. They're in Rome. They're driving around, you know. He's in the tiny car. I really like both set pieces in the film. I like, Tom Cruise, of course, is Tom Cruise. He's crazy. But, you know, the fact that, you know, people complain nowadays that, oh, movies use too much CGI. Oh, everything's filmed on green screen. If that's your complaint with modern day movies, go watch fucking Mission Impossible. Those specific, again, since like the 4th one, basically, those are all real stunts performed by crazy person Tom Cruise. And it's fucking crazy. Oh my gosh. All of them, right? I think Fallout's got the 2 biggest ones with Halo jump in the helicopter. Wild. Not counting Final Reckoning here. But I really liked Dead Reckoning at the time. Now, yeah, I guess people don't like it as much. I still really enjoyed it. I thought Dead Reckoning was really good. And it was kind of like, okay, now we just gotta wait and see how this all plays out. I was very excited to see what's next. But yeah, I like Tom Cruise is great. Grace, who is Peggy Carter from Captain America, she's in it, and she does it. You know, admittedly I don't like that they killed what's her name, the female Tom Cruise, Isla. I don't like that they killed off her, but I do like Grace. I like Paris. Paris, voiced played by the same woman who does Mantis, does fantastic in Dead Reckoning. The villain Gabriel's okay. You know, he's threatening enough. Of course, you got Luther. You got Benji. You know, all the classics are there. So yeah, I really enjoyed Dead Reckoning. So going into the Final Reckoning, I was excited. Full spoilers ahead. I'm just gonna say it. Yeah, full spoilers ahead, because there are some things I do have to talk about. So the movie opens up. They break up Paris out of jail. They're going after Gabriel, and Gabriel, you know, he captures Ethan Hunt and Grace, but then they break out, and he reveals that, oh, one of your friends will die tonight, and it's Luther. And Luther, because Luther's already dying. I don't remember if that was in the previous one. Again, even though I just kind of went through it, I don't think that him dying was in the previous one. But he's dying, but they set up a bomb that he can disarm. And Gabriel steals the poison pill, which destroys the entity. And the opening bit with, you know, Ethan Hunt talking to Luther, and Luther dies. I was in tears. Like 30 minutes into the movie, it already got me to cry. And I'm stuck. Fuck. I totally will fully admit, I was in tears. Luther's death. Oh my gosh. Just them talking to each other. You know, any mission could be their last. It fucking got me. And it got me good. Because in Dead Reckoning, they very much set up that Benji's gonna die, Simon Pegg. He's filled with death flags in that movie. So I was I'm expecting him to die as well. But yeah, Luther dying, because he's been there since the first one. He's you know, Ethan's one friend since the first one. So him dying, oh my god, that hit hard. That was, oh my god, what a start to a movie. And then Ethan talks to the entity, and you know how one thing Mission Impossible has always done is in the opening credits, they basically show you little snippets of the entire movie. This one does that twice. The opening bit with the entity, which, by the way, if you've got like a seizure or anything like that, do not see this movie. The opening bit with the entity where he's talking to it is so fucking seizure heavy. Oh my gosh. It's bad. It is very bad. So do take that warning. But yeah, they basically show, you know, what's going to happen to it. Because, you know, as the entity was written. I will say one of my problems with this movie, because I do like this movie, but I'm not going to act like it's perfect. One of my problems is that in the previous movie, the entity felt like it was in control. Like, yeah, it was using Gabriel as its avatar, but the entity had, like, this god complex of it was in control of everything. As the entity writes it, so does it happen. Like, you know, Gabriel says that, oh, the entity says that the key will land at my feet. And sure enough, later in the movie, the key literally lands at his feet. So that was, again, the entity was like this presence. There's a whole, where they're in like a club, but they're in the entity's brain, and it's really good. And this movie doesn't feel like that. Like, the Entity, yes, it's still a threat. Yes, it is stealing all the nuclear weapons. I did not feel it was as much of a threat in this one. Because outside of that scene where Ethan talks to it, it has a lot less presence in this movie. Because it's just trying to steal nuclear weapons. Because it plans to end the world. And so as a result, I was kind of disappointed by that. Like, I kind of wish we had gotten a little more with, like, because the Entity, after Gabriel fails in the previous one, he's kind of on the out from the Entity. And instead he's pivoted to want to take control of it. Okay, that makes sense. But I kind of wish the Entity had its own forces. Like, yeah, technically it does. They steal a name from Fallout. They have the Children of Adam, which are like the followers of the Entity that believe it to be some sort of god that will, you know, end the world but bring upon the new one. And yeah, they do some shit in this movie, but it never felt like... It felt kind of like disconnected. Like, it wasn't like, oh, the Entity is ordering these people to, like, try to kill Tom Cruise. No, it felt like, oh, these people are just zealots who are trying to do it. There was that disconnect, and I kind of wish there wasn't. Like, I would have liked to have seen more of the Entity itself. Like, if we had the Entity call the president and threaten them, that would have been nice. The president has a major role in this movie. One of the complaints I've seen is that there are too many characters in this movie, and I see why people have that complaint. I'm not going to say it's an invalid complaint at all, because there are a lot of characters. Because basically you'll go from scene to scene and be like, oh, here's a new group of characters. Here's, you know, this group. Here's that group. There are a lot of characters in this movie. So I get that complaint. But I think most of them are just like, oh, they're here for this one scene, and then we move on to the next one. I think most of these characters don't actually matter, except for the one exception being the president. The president played by... is it Angela Bassett? I think it's Angela Bassett. That sounds right. Just trying to double check here. I think so. Yeah. So she in Fallout, she was the director of the CIA, and now she's the president, and she's basically got to make the decision of, does she send off a nuclear strike? Does, you know, the Entity's taking control of all the nukes, so they have to make the decision: do they blow up every other country's nukes before the Entity takes full control and destroy the world? And honestly, if I didn't know any better, I'd say they clearly had an idea of who they thought was going to win a presidential election. You know, because it's a female president, and I'll be honest, watching these scenes with Angela Bassett and Nick Offerman plays the Secretary of Defense. Without a mustache, I honestly cannot get... Does he hate having a mustache? Because I cannot get used to looking at him without a mustache. He just looks wrong. Not that I'm a Parks and Recs fan, but I'm just so used to him with a mustache that seeing him without just doesn't look right. But, they're the two important entities here. And they've got to decide what to do with these nukes. And I could never see Trump in that role. That's the thing. I think she does a great job. I could never see Trump do this. Which is just, oh my... Like, I could see Kamala Harris doing this. As awful as these, like, the scenario these characters are put in, I could see Kamala Harris doing this. I could never see Trump doing this. Like, that's new fear unlocked. That, you know, I've definitely always had, but now I'm, like, real discovering, is Trump in a nuclear scenario. Like, holy... It's 1,000 times worse than I always imagined. And I always imagined it being, like, awful. Just the worst thing imaginable. Like, holy shit. Oh, fuck. I got a root beer here and it fucking exploded. Oh, now my hands are sticky. Fuck. This level sucks. This level sucks, by the way. This is when I was talking earlier about how, you know, these games aren't designed for precision platforming, but they give you the jetpack to compensate, and then they take the jetpack away, which makes things infinitely harder. That's exactly what this level is. If I had the jetpack, I would have beaten this by now. But the fact that we don't, this level fucking sucks. So yeah, I would say the only character that you actually of the new characters slash again, she was in 6, is her, is Angela Bassett as the president. That's the only new character that you actually need to care about. The rest of them, like, yeah, some of them are, you know, continuing on from the previous one. Of the two, like, agents who are chasing after Ethan Hunt in the previous one of them has joined Ethan's side, but the other one is still going against him with the director of the IMF. And my one thing is that you find out that he's the son of the villain from the first movie, who, again, betrayed Ethan and tried to kill him. And, like, they don't really, like, I feel like that was entirely unnecessary. Like, I know they're trying to make it full circle, and yes, at the end, it definitely does come full circle. But I'll be honest, I didn't really need that. Same thing with the anti-god from the third one. You find out that, the entity came from the anti-god. Also the rabbit's, I think it's called the rabbit's foot, the white rabbit, whatever they call it. That wasn't a biological weapon like they hinted at in the third one, but was, you know, a prototype computer that became the entity. That kind of felt underwhelming. I didn't need that retcon. I was perfectly fine without that, because I feel like they basically wrapped up all of 3's loose ends. Because the biggest loose end with Mission Impossible 3 is his wife. And they wrapped that up perfectly fine in 6. So I didn't need that. I didn't need that. I was fine without it. Yeah, there are so many, like, the movie starts off with a montage of all the previous movies. Because again, this is the big final send-off. Because you can't make these moves. I know, if you know about the development of Mission Impossible, originally for 4, the studio had planned to replace Tom Cruise. And Tom Cruise, you know, said no, and then he climbed the Burj Khalifa and proved that he was irreplaceable. They tried to replace him with Jeremy Renner. And that's kind of where yeah, you know, are they maybe going to try to keep doing more? I don't know, but I don't think the series works without Tom Cruise. And not that he's done doing crazy shit. Like, as far as I know, he's still going to space to make a movie. As far as I know, that's still happening. But, you know, we'll see. But yeah, where we're character-wise... Yeah, I can say another problem I've seen people have is that the first, like, hour of this movie is a lot of build-up. You know, we're going from place to place, we're all getting set up. Hey, we're on an aircraft carrier, now we're in a submarine. Oh, now we're on this island. And yeah, I get that, it is definitely a little slow, but once it gets going... Man, does it get going. If you can get past that first hour of build-up, which I feel like a good chunk of these movies have anyways, or like it takes them a while to get going, but once you do, man, does this movie pick up. There are 2 big set pieces in this one. The submarine and the planes. Both of those are in the trailer, by the way. So, full spoiler alert, without getting into too many specifics. The submarine set piece in this movie is maybe the best set piece in any one of these movies. It is so tense. The score is amazing. They had the genius idea where he's not just, you know, he's going through the sub trying to get to the entity source code at the end. You know, the submarine we saw blow up at the beginning of the previous one. He's not just going through that. Because of the shifting water and everything, the submarine is like slowly rolling off the edge. And so, you know, the camera's constantly tilting with it. He's got to escape out. He's got to go in and then escape out. And he keeps locking the door behind him. And I was like, why? You know you have to get out. Why are you closing the door behind you? I know it's to like stop water from running out, but that's just going to make things harder in the end. But this submarine set piece... It's almost no talking. potentially none. It all relies on score, Tom Cruise, doing his thing, and just the tension. And it's so good. I would argue the submarine set piece is the best in any of these movies. Sure, is it the craziest? No, I would say, stuff like the Burj Khalifa, the Halo jump, the hanging on top outside of the plane in Rogue Nation. I would argue those are all, probably more, spectacular, probably more, dangerous. Even him, learning to hold his breath for 3 minutes underwater for Rogue Nation. All those set pieces are good and tense. This one is the crown on top. Oh my gosh, this one is so good. I was on the edge of my seat the whole time. I was so invested. Truly the best one in the series. Even if the movie around it isn't perfect, I would recommend seeing it just for the submarine set piece. The submarine set piece itself is so good that, I would recommend the movie just for that alone. And there's still one other. There's the plane one at the end, which is also really good. Does it kind of remind me of the helicopter one from Fallout? Yes. But it's different enough that, I don't complain. But no, the submarine piece is so good. And then that takes us, again, without getting into too many specifics, eventually they go on, they rescue him. For the 3rd time in the series, Ethan Hunt dies. Because he died in 3, he dies in 5, and now he's died again here in 8. I don't think he died in 7, or 6, I mean. He didn't die in 7, but I don't think he dies in 6. But he dies for the 3rd time in this one. The 2nd time he dies to drowning. Because that was in 5, he drowned as well. And it's good. It's a good set piece. And then they go to the end. You get the Doomsday Vault. I like their plan. At the end. And of course, shots and reversals. Something happens in their favor. Something happens against them. It's really well done. It leads us to our final moments that are just good, intense, and have me on the edge of my seat. Both, and then I gasped out loud when they again, spoiler alert, when they reveal that Simon Pegg has been shot, that Benji might die as well, because again, he had death flag written all over him. I gasped. I was like, no, not Benji, no. And then that entire final where they have to stop the entity, he's in a plane chasing after Gabriel, where where Paris and Grace are trying to stop Benji from dying. It's all really good. There's some slapstick that I don't really care for. They play, you got Simon Pegg. They play some slapstick, not with him exclusively, with some of the Gabriel stuff as well. Because Gabriel's just in it for the thrill of the kill, man. He's having fun with it all. And I kind of wish they didn't do that. There's one specific scene I'm talking about, without, again, getting into any specifics, where I was like, you didn't need to make a joke out of that. I would have been fine if that wasn't a joke. But no, I feel it all ends really well. I cried at the ending. I did. I cried for a second time. And then at the end of the movie, you know how in Rise of Skywalker, you know how C-3PO, right before they wipe his mind, they're like, oh, let me take one last look at my friends. And it's 4 people he doesn't know in R2-D2. The only person he actually knows is R2-D2 there. No, he doesn't really know Finn, Rey, or Poe. One last look at your friends? What the fuck are you talking about? That's kind of how I felt a little bit about the end of this one, where it kind of ends with him taking one last look at his friends. And it's outside of one of these guys, you met all of these characters in just the past 2 movies. But I still think it is a good ending. Yes, is it kind of laying it on thick because this is the last one? Yes. But I did cry. I really did. I do think it is a good ending to the series. I like it. It's got all the heart. It gets to the core of Mission Impossible. I don't want to say Mission Impossible is about family. It's not like Fast and the Furious where, oh, it's all about family. But it's very clear from these movies that Ethan Hunt will sacrifice himself 100 times over for just one of his teammates. And that's the whole premise of Fallout, is that Hunt refuses to choose between Luther and nuclear bombs. And he literally puts the entire fate of the world on the blink of an eye in this one. And it all works. It all works. You know, because even with all these good action movies, you still need that heart. Mission Impossible gets it. And I'd argue they get it better than Fast and the Furious. Because for as much as I like Fast and the Furious, those movies have definitely kind of lost the plot. Admittedly, I thought 10 was better than 8 and 9, but they still definitely have kind of lost the plot a little bit. Even though, God, when is 10-2 coming out? Are they even making 10-2? Are they making 10-3? Who the fuck knows? I think it'd be dumb to make 10-3. End it in one. Admittedly, I have no idea how they're going to get out of 10. But, whatever they do. But yeah, there's a bunch of other little things I could talk about. Like, I really thought they were setting up a twist villain near the end, and then still put a bait and switch, and I actually really liked that they bait and switched it. I am disappointed that at the end of the movie, he doesn't say mission accomplished, because that's one of the things that happens in multiple of them. And I kind of wish it was Luther who, in his final message, had said it. That would have been nice. But either way, again, the ending Luther speech did make me cry. It's just a good movie. It is. Yeah, it has flaws. Most of these movies do in some way, shape, or form. But they're some of the best action movies around. And the fact that all these stunts are practical, all the plane stuff, right? It's all happened is so good. These movies are top class. I mean, what are we gonna have next? Like, the only other thing we've got that even sort of fits into this is fucking Reacher. And that's a detective show where they solve all their problems by punching things. This level fucking sucked. I hated that. I don't know how many attempts that took us. I fucking hated that level. Oh my gosh. That was awful. That was awful. And we're 2 hours in, and I don't think we're gonna make it to 25. I guess I'm pivoting to like 20. I don't know. We'll have to see what some of these other levels are, but I'm not looking forward to this. That sucked. That took like half an hour. But yeah, no. Do I recommend? Of course I recommend. I definitely recommend watching Dead Reckoning first. Watch the first part. Like, I definitely think you could probably get by not having seen it. But I would definitely recommend to watch Dead Reckoning first. Because there's a lot of setup things that, yeah, you do want to see that movie. Even though, yes, they do explain most of them. You know, there's an opening bit with the president where she kind of explains, like, this is why Ethan Hunt is wanted. So they definitely do explain some things, but yeah, definitely make sure to watch Dead Reckoning. So where would I put this in my Mission Impossible ranking? Do I have a Mission Impossible ranking? I don't think... I mean, I'll double check right now, but I don't think so. Let me see. Mission... Oh, yeah, we watched Dead Reckoning during the strike. Oh my gosh, I completely forgot about it. That was the first movie I watched when the actor strike happened. Which, I don't even have that story in the new stuff. Fortnite used an AI James Earl Jones in their game. And obviously SAG-AFTRA called them out on it, and we're going to see what happens with that, but... Yeah. Okay, I don't have a Mission Impossible ranking list. Fuck it, let's make them... Okay, let's make a Mission Impossible ranking list, shall we? Let's see. I'm gonna call it Mission Impossible in Review, because that's what I call all these things. It is 1 through 9. It's 1 through 8? Yeah, there are 8 of these. At the very bottom of the list, it's gotta be Mission Impossible 2. So Mission Impossible 2 is the one that takes place in the Australian outback, where, you know, they basically just spin the entire movie there, and it kind of sucks, and it's definitely the weakest one. Yeah, I would argue Mission Impossible 2 is... I don't... This isn't like a controversial opinion or anything. John Woo's the director, and it just makes the weakest one. The action isn't as good. They're in the Australian outback. Nothing kind of happens. Sure, the ending's decent. Or, not the end... Not the ending. Is it the ending? The whole bit where he jumps out of the building. I remember that being good. And, like, there being some good... The opening with him rock climbing... And then the sunglasses get shot at him, and then they blow up, and that leads to the title. I remember that being good, but Mission Impossible 2 isn't that good. So that's my bottom. That's my number 8. At number 7. What would I put at 7? I don't know what 7. There's a part of me that wants to put the original, because I'll be honest, I'm not a big, like, if I were to go, because after seeing this new one, I kind of want to go back and rewatch a lot of them. But if I was to go back and rewatch them, I probably wouldn't rewatch. I'd skip 1 and 2. So I guess that's why I gotta put 1 at number 2, at number 7, because I just wouldn't go back. I don't really see much reason to go back and watch it. If I'm just being honest, I don't really see much reason for it. Yeah, let's put at 7 Mission Impossible 1. At 6? God, does this really just go in reverse order? Or does this really just go, the earlier movies are lower and then the newer ones are higher? Am I really that basic? I might be. Yeah, I might be. Because 3... See, okay, I don't know where Fallout's gonna end up. Because Fallout's one where I liked it, but I didn't love it. Like, I wasn't blown away by Fallout. So I don't know exactly where I'd put it, but I probably wouldn't put it. It's not making the top of the list, even though I know other people would disagree with me. Fallout's probably gonna end up near the middle-ish. I probably should have just done the... Instead of ranking them 1 through 8, I probably should have done a tier list. Yeah, let's... At number 6, let's do Mission Impossible 3. Yeah, let's just say 3. It's J.J. Abrams. You know, you've got some good moments. Philip Seymour Hoffman's the villain. I like that Ethan Hunt's kind of married. And I like that the first thing Hoffman does when they're, like, interrogating him, and it's like, do you have any loved ones? Because I'm going to kill them. Like, it's very good. It's good. It's really good. At 5, I guess Rogue Nation would be at 5. Rogue Nation is the second Jeremy Renner one. That's the one where he goes underwater. That's like the big set piece in that one. It's got some good moments. But yeah, I'd probably put that... Is Rogue Nation the one where he runs across China? I think that's the one where he runs across China. That sounds right. My favorite running is the one where, I think that's 4, where he outruns the sandstorm. That's my favorite Tom Cruise running. Rogue Nation. Then I'm probably gonna do. I guess. Do I want to put Fallout at 4 or 3? Because that would leave Final Reckoning. Okay, I'm gonna make the strong choice. I'm gonna put Fallout at 4. Mission Impossible Fallout will be number 4. Then at 3. Oh shit. Oh my god. Do I want Fallout at 4? I'm gonna have to rewatch these movies. That's what I'm coming down. Like, these top, specifically the top 5 here, because there's a part of me that's like, okay, Fallout goes at 4, Final Reckoning's at 3, Dead Reckoning's at 2, and then Ghost Protocol is number 1. Like that, because Ghost Protocol has always been my favorite. But I do really like Dead Reckoning. Fallout, I need to see again, because I think I'll like it more the second time. That's the thing about Fallout, is when I first saw it, I was like, yeah, this is good. I know everybody else liked it a lot more than I did. But I really do like Dead Reckoning. But God, that's the train set piece at the end of Dead Reckoning is so good. But I think the submarine set piece in Final Reckoning is better? So maybe Final Reckoning is 2 and Dead Reckoning is 3? And then, do I want Ghost Protocol at 1? I do really like Ghost Protocol. I like the action. I like the... Because you got the bridge... How does Ghost Protocol end? I don't... Let's just go with what I have. Okay, at number 8, I've got Mission Impossible 2. Number 7, I've got the original Mission Impossible. At number 6, I've got Mission Impossible 3. At number 5, I have Rogue Nation. Number 4, I have Fallout. Number 3, I have Dead Reckoning. Number 2, I have Final Reckoning. And at number 1, I have Ghost Protocol. That's what I'm going to go with at the moment. I might rewatch some of these movies and change my mind. I don't know. I mean, God, who has the time anymore? But it's Mission Impossible. I might make the time. Either that or I just wait for Final Reckoning to be on DVD in like September. And then I just watch all 8 of them back to back. I might do that as well. We might revisit this topic later in the year. But that's what I'm going to call it at the moment. Okay, let's move on. Still got one more thing to talk about. Let's talk about Dungeon Crawler Carl. So, where we last left off in Dungeon Crawler Carl, they were in the dungeon, and one of the old guys had pissed on the floor, which is something the admins, because they're basically in like, if you don't know, if you miss lag, basically Dungeon Crawler Carl it's like the world ends, and all the remaining humans who didn't die are forced by this like galactic government called the Syndicate to go into a dungeon, which is kind of like a video game. It's kind of like, it's got elements of like Hitchhikers in it, but you know, it's got like those anime isekai elements. It's very entertaining. I have been thoroughly entertained. I'm now 3 books in. And so one of the things is that, you know, from doing this dungeon crawling game for hundreds of thousands of years, maybe millions at this point, the developers learned that, oh, you need to give people bathrooms. So they built bathrooms into the dungeons, but people just keep pissing on the floor. So they make it a punishment that if you piss on the floor, it'll spawn an enemy from much later in the dungeon. And that's where I left off, is one of the old, because he's in the dungeon with some people who work in a retirement home, and the bunch of the retirees. And one of the old guys pisses on the floor. They kill him, but it's too late. So in the end, they summon this level they summon this level 13 monster. And it's like, how do we deal with this? So that's the big problem that they have to deal with. And in the end, the solution they found actually really... So full spoiler ahead for both the first book and the second book. The solution they end up figuring out is that when dungeon crawlers try to go down to the next floor, like the floors only open like a few hours beforehand, or like they're recommended not to, but monsters cannot chase them down. Like let's say they're on the 3rd floor and they're trying to go down to the second floor down to the 3rd. A monster cannot chase them from the 2nd to the 3rd. It'll get despawned. So his solution is to beat this monster. He tricks it into going down the stairwell. Like they push it, like they blow it up, like they blow up right next to it, which sends it down the stairwell, killing the monster. Not that they actually get like experience for killing it or anything, but it dies because, you know, it despawns at the floor gate. I think that was a very clever solution, and that's kind of where I figured the book would have ended. Instead, one of my problems with the first book is that, like, they have this big climb. Again, we talk about set pieces, right? The first book has 2 set pieces. The first one is the ball of pig people. I can't remember what they're called. Tuskers, the Tusk Ball. And the second one is this level 13 enemy. And I think it's very good. It's very clever of how they kill it. But then the book doesn't end there. Because, like, I knew it was going to end with them going to the 3rd level. Because at the 3rd floor, they get to pick their class. So I was like, of course that's where the book's going to end. That's not where the book ends. Instead, it keeps going for a little bit. And they get a pet velociraptor. They call it Mongo? I think they call it Mongo. That sounds right. So they get this pet velociraptor. And I was like, they could have just done this in the next book. I'll be honest. If they should have ended it with that fight, but instead, because I'm listening to the audiobook, it goes on for like another hour, and then it does end with them going from the 2nd down to the 3rd floor. I thought it was going to end with them picking their class. That's how the second book opens, with them picking their class. But yeah, it ends with them going on, because there's an interviews in between floors, and so it ends with them doing an interview in between. And, right, they get some advice for the next floor, you know, things to worry about. But so that's how the book ends. The next book opens up with them picking their class. Donut becomes all the classes in the races are all a lot of fun. Donut becomes not an artist alley mode. She gets like a subclass of like artist alley mogul, but I think she picks like TV star or like childhood star or something like that, because their goal, they get advice from Audette, the talk show host, to get a class with the perk manager, so that way their manager Mordecai can stay with them, and they can use all of his advice and skills. Genuinely a good idea. Like I totally get why they would do something like that, as that is super beneficial. Meanwhile, Carl gets the race of Primal, because Donut stays as a cat, but he picks Primal, which Primal is just like, oh, it's the ancient race that existed before all the others, but nobody knows what they look like or where they come from. It kind of reminds me of like the Ancients from if you've ever played a Kirby game. There's all this like secret lore reference to the group called the Ancients. It's kind of like that, where it's like it's this undescribed species that, you know, could be anything. Oh, it's just... You would think with a shine it would be a shine. So he picks Primal, but he still looks human. And he gets the class of Anarchist. Like, it's like performative anarchist or something like that. I wish I had like a physical book where I could like actually look this shit up, because I know it usually says in like the beginning of chapters and whatnot, because most beginnings of chapter list like their view counts. But so he picks the role of anarchist, which I think makes sense. One of the things that drives me crazy about Carl in the first 2 books is he has this temper. Like, his whole thing is that he's not going to let the dungeon break him. Like, the dungeon is clearly designed to, like, strip you of your humanity, bring out the worst about humanity. And it's like, he's not going to let the dungeon break me. But because of that, he's got, like, a big temper. And on multiple occasions, it has fucked them over. There's specifically a bit with... The one thing that, I say the first book should have ended after they kill the guy. There's also a bit with a TV show. Where they go on a TV show. And on the show, there's this guy called the Maestro. And Carl just fucking hates this guy. Rightfully so. And... that's like Carl's tempo, and it fucks them over, but it also kind of works out in the end for them. Like, I get it. But the entire thing with the Maestro, how they set up the one woman for revenge against him, the husband and wife, because he kind of inadvertently killed their daughter. I totally get that. But yeah. So going into the next one, it's Carl's Doomsday apparatus. So at the start, right, the second book, they pick their classes, they go out, and the whole third floor is like, it's like a town. It's a bunch of different towns. There's like this whole storybook things. They can now accept like quests where there are like, on top of like, people watching this for like the Hunger Games style entertainment. There are people who write like custom stories in the dungeon, and crawlers can like interact with these stories. And I like how they explain it, like, oh, the people who are in the dungeon can try to like break the stories, but the people who are, pay a lot of money to get their stories in the dungeon. And if you try to break it, they're going to try to break you back. And you have to find the balance between being like a main character and just a background character who doesn't like derail the plot. It's good. I like their explanation of it. They end up getting stuck in this whole side quest where they're at like this nightmare circus, and they're helping out, not Sarah, Sigil, it's something like that. And she's like the whole floor has been like corrupted by this black smoke, and that includes the circus, and she's trying to like save the circus people, or at least, put them out of their misery. Carl gets swept up in it. Donut gets knocked out. And then he goes in and he finds out the circus people, it's like a city boss, which nobody in the game has beaten a city boss. But he creates this plan of how to beat it, but he ends up talking his way out of it because he's never actually going to fight it. And I like all of that. One of the things I will say is, as these books develop, Carl is very much the tactician of the group. Like, they bring up to make a point that, like, Donut's a lot smarter than she acts. Like, she plays dumb for the camera, but she's actually very clever. Carl, on the other hand, is he's very much the tactician. He comes in, he lays out a plan, and I kind of wish his plans... I don't want to say they failed more often, but there's this... Again, we talked about Mission Impossible. There's this idea of shots and reversals, where, something works, and then something's got to go wrong. And more often than not, Carl has a plan, and it kind of just works. And I kind of wish we had more of like, oh, he does a plan, oh shit, it didn't work, now we've got to shift to plan B. Even if it's the same outcome at the end of the day. I kind of wish he had more struggle in that front. Not that he's not struggling. Oh my gosh, he's struggling. Again, losing Donut, having to go into the circus all alone, where the entire thing is rigged against him to, like, set him up to die. It's all good. He has to fight a bear on roller skates before that. Again, they're fun books. Again, I don't want to say they're hitchhikers, because they're not. It's different styles of humor. But that's, like, the closest comparison for me, personally. But so they do this whole circus quest. They end up making it alive at the end. They end up going on another round. They go on a round table show where we meet Hecla, who is like, there's like a top 10 players in the game. And Hecla's like this Amazonian warrior who's like already been featured as like one of the best. So we meet her and they're like, hey, one of my teammates is nearby. Could you like go help her out and like keep her alive? I'll owe you a favor. And so we get a new character, Kavita? I'll be honest, between the second and third book, I kind of completely forgot, because she sticks around. I kind of completely forgot this character existed. She's a changeling, and her power is like, she's like the Juggernaut. She can use like this rush ability that's like super powerful and lets her like burst through anything. She's got a high she's not very strength heavy, high constitution more. Because again, it uses the not language of D&D, but it's like similar ideas. Like you could totally do a D&D campaign that works just like this. Like I think of the Adventure Zone, the Carnival. Not the Carnival of Chaos. Whatever, the one where the one where the damage sticks. I can't remember the arc's name. Alright, like I could totally see this being a D&D campaign. You know how like people make their fanfics of Mistborn into D&D campaigns? I could see someone doing the same thing here. Make a fanfic that just is a D&D campaign. But yeah, so she shows up, she's this doppelganger, and you know, she's helping out. And then they end up going on this quest, and like there's this town, these prostitutes are being murdered, so they're trying to figure out what it is. They know the mayor has something to do with it. They end up finding this whole like blood sacrifice room in the mayor's office, but they're still like missing a piece of the puzzle. So eventually they go in, they kill the mayor, kill the assistant who is like the real villain. And then afterwards they find out like, no, that's not, there's still a puzzle here. The quest isn't complete yet. So they go in after it. And they eventually find this guy who like for like basically generations now. Again, it's all like generated. Like, so it's not actual generations. But there's like this magic spell that's being cast, and it's gonna blow up the town. Because like the plan was to make like this army of elves, because there's like these religious zealots, but because it backfired because they killed the caster who was like the secretary, it's now gonna blow up and kill them all. So that's Carl's Doomsday scenario. Again, this is where I talk about like the plan backfiring, but like plan A doesn't work, so plan B should work. He has the idea to like put the bomb in his inventory, and while he can't do that with the bomb before it explodes, the second it does explode, he's able to put it in his inventory, and that's where you get the title Carl's Doomsday scenario, because that's what the bomb's called. And then of course after that they solve that problem. They save everyone. They save like 80 people in the town because this is like an event quest. And the guy who, you know, who was like the sacrificial pawn, he starts exploding. So they then decide to basically evacuate. That if they can't get away from the town, so they're instead just gonna go down to the 4th floor. As it blows, you know, this new bomb's gonna blow up. They have the idea of like, hey, let's set off our own bomb to blow up this guy. And then when we blow him up, we'll get all, you know, anything he kills, we'll get those rewards and experience because we're the one who blows him up. Good idea, you know, good pivot. So, they go down, they blow up the bomb, and then they immediately head down to the next floor. And I thought that's where they were going to end it, right there. No, we do luckily get an epilogue. I have no idea how I did that. We get an explanation that basically their plan worked. When they blew up the guy, it stopped the bomb and solved the quest. But they don't get any of the rewards besides for the experience. Because they were all supposed to get these celestial level boxes. But this was something like, as I was reading it, I was like, oh wait, this was an event quest. Like, I pieced it together as it was happening. Because they explained that these celestial boxes like cost real money. And they're very expensive. And they get like a few freebies. But they would have had to, because it was an event quest, they would have had to given out 80. So, of course, the people running the game, appeal. They lose their appeal, but then they use a line veto, which the line veto usually only happens at like floor like 10. So it's never happened this early before. But as a result, only of the 80 people who should have gotten Celestial boxes, only one guy does. And admittedly, that hasn't come back yet. Like, that, as far as we know, that guy still has his item, but he has not been mentioned since. So, like, I'm sure that's something that'll, at least as far as I'm in the third book, that hasn't come back yet. But yeah, they get fucked. And then at the end of the second book, the Odette warns Carl, like, hey, Hecla is gonna try to steal Donut from you. She's planted Cogita, whatever her name is, in your party to try to, like, slowly warm Donut over to, like, joining her. So that's a threat that, you know, I'm already kind of seeing pay off in the next book. But yeah, that's where the book ends. I just summed up, like, 10 hours a book and, like, what, like 15 minutes, and I did not do a great job at it. There's a lot of stuff I skipped over. Again, they're good, entertaining books. I do recommend them. Are they high literature? No. But I'm thoroughly entertained. If you're at all, like, interested in it, like, you know, dungeon crawling, you know, it plays big into D&D, it plays big into video games. If you're into that kind of shit, you're probably gonna like it. Not guaranteed, mind you. Right? Like, I could see some people finding some of it annoying. I think the guy who does the audiobook does a fantastic job. Even if in the third one they get, like, a special guest to be, like, the train conductor, and it just sounds weird. But other than that, I think the guy who does the audiobook does a fantastic job. And we're fighting King Boo here. I know I'm late to that, but yeah. This is probably the last thing we're going to do. I'm probably going to end off here. But so I'm in the third book, the fourth level that they're now on. Because one of my disappointments, I figured, like, at the rate the first book goes, we're going to do 2 floors per book. So, you know, within 5 books, we'll be at floor 10. I know they say nobody's ever made it past floor 13, because the only guy to make it to floor 13 died instantly. I'm going to guess we're going to go all the way to 15, but starting at the second book, it's now 1 floor per book. And I would not be surprised if in the future that slows down even more, sadly. I think I would have been happy with 2 floors a book, but if you're going to do 1 floor a book, please keep it at 1 floor a book. I don't think you can get any more decongested than that. I feel like that's kind of the limit at what I would take. But we'll see. I don't know, so far the 4th floor with the trains has been interesting. Like, they're trying to go around, make a map with Mordecai, and then they fuck up. Like, Carl's supposed to get this prize. And the guy who's giving him the prize is, like, somebody who knows Mordecai. And Mordecai attacks him, and that gets him, like, in timeout for a week. So I do think, again, shots and reversals, Mordecai has been very powerful in these books. So taking him away for the next 7 days does definitely make things a lot harder for them. I think that's a good idea for just like making the narrative more complicated. That's right, with everything going on, I think that's a good idea. And then the third book's called Carl's Anarchist Cookbook. So he gets the choice to pick the Anarchist Cookbook. And he's like, oh, this is just a normal cookbook. I don't know if you've been around or what corners you exist on the internet. The Anarchist Cookbook is a real thing. Do not look for it. Do not download it. That will get you on an FBI list. And for all intents and purposes, I have never seen it. You know nothing. I said nothing. But the Anarchist Cookbook is, like, a real thing that, like, you know, like, one of the things there's an old Rooster Teeth sketch about it where they talk about how it, like, there was stuff like to create bombs, create napalm, stuff like that. That if you want to know what it is, like, maybe go check out that, because again, don't actually look it up. You don't want to be on the list, because that's how you get on an FBI list. Just FYI. If you ever want to get the FBI's attention, either download the Anarchist Cookbook or buy like 10 Instapots. Either way, that'll get you on a list. But yeah, he's got the Dungeons Anarchist cookbook. Of course, it is actually... It's a specific, like, dungeon version of the Anarchist cookbook. Which I do like that it's, like, more, like, specialized of, like, hey, it's a book written by previous crawlers with all their knowledge of the dungeon. But not like Mordecai, like, it's, like, more, like, specialized knowledge. Because Carl's whole thing is, like, the show won't break him. And, you know, like in the new Hunger Games book, how, like, part of their thing is to, like, make these posters to take down the Capitol. And that even if it won't happen today, one day there will be a sunrise on the reaping. That's kind of right, Carl. Like, even if the Anarchist Cookbook, the Dungeon Anarchist Cookbook, won't destroy the games today, over the 20-something generations this book has been being written, eventually one day the games will be ended. So I do like that. I think that's interesting. It's added a new dynamic to things. Again, I forgot that one girl, Cosette, even existed, but... you know, she's clearly doing more. Hopefully. But no, I've been enjoying the book so far. Again, basically any free time I've had, I've been putting into Dungeon Crawler Carl. And I've been enjoying it. Because, yeah, the second book was like 10 hours, and I did that in a week. I finished the previous book, which had like 4 hours left. And now I'm like 4 hours into the new one. But of course the new one's now 16 hours. The third one's 16 hours. But there are 7 of them, with an 8th one coming out either... I don't know when the 7th one came out. Admittedly, I just know there's 7 of them and there's going to be an 8th one. Mainly because I Googled it. But yeah, no, so far I have been enjoying it. They are very entertaining books. I don't know, eventually I'll probably wane, but so far, you know, 3 books in, I'm entertained enough. And you know what, I'm probably good because of Mario Kart. I'll be honest, I'm going to put a lot of time into Mario Kart. And some of that time is going to be taken just, you know, I'll have time to just listen to this book. I originally thought maybe I'd play Mario Kart and watch One Piece. That ain't going to happen. I've actually been, I talked about this a few weeks ago. I've been thinking about watching Dimension 20. Specifically Fantasy High. I've only ever seen the first season of Fantasy High, and I kind of want to get back into it, but we'll see. Alright, this should be King Boo. I guess that takes us to our outro, because this is the last thing we're going to do. Yeah, there we go. We didn't even get 20. Fuck. So, what's coming up in the future for us? What are we going to be doing? And I'll be honest, I don't know. I mean, obviously more Sunshine. That is the plan at the moment. You know, next week we'll be back. Oh, no, actually, I know exactly what we're doing next week. Summer Games Fest. Summer Games Fest is in 2 weeks. So it makes sense to give our predictions next week. So that's what we'll be doing. We'll be back. We'll be giving our predictions for Summer Games Fest, the Xbox Game Show, a PlayStation show, a Nintendo show. We'll do all that. And I have one other surprise. You know, it's Memorial Day this weekend. I've got some things planned. So I do have one other surprise. But we will do that next week. But that's, you know, we've been going for almost 3 hours.